Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? I am coming on live. This is not my evening live because you know my evening lives are YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. But I did want to come on here and give y'all a little word, something that was on my heart today. Um, and I was going to do a live, which I even put that I was going to do a live on something else completely different earlier, and I'm not going to do a live on that right now. I will come back to that probably later at another time, but I did want to give you this, and I'm going to try to because this is off the cuff, not scripted. So I hope it makes sense the way I'm going to put it to you. And the title is, Don't Get Attached to Nothing That Isn't Attached to You. Okay? So this is going to be a story time, and before I say it, I just want to preface it by saying that a lot of us are going through things in life or have gone through things in life, either going through it right now or have gone through things in life because of the attachments that we have created. Okay? Attachments that we ourselves have created. So, I have a Facebook friend who posted the other day, and I don't remember exactly how she worded it, so forgive me if I'm botching this. She said something to the effect of, how long has it been? I wish I could remember exactly how she said it because it would make a lot more sense, but something to the effect of, how long has it been since you would have been dead? In other words, she was referring to suicide. There are a lot of people out there who have attempted suicide, and you just don't know it. They're thriving now, they're full of joy, they look happy, their lives seem perfect, but what you don't know is that they had a dark season, and at some point in time, they attempted suicide. And so she put how long it would have been for her. And all these people answered. And you're like, wow, I didn't know you had, attempted suicide and that you were in that dark of a place. So I'm going to share my story, and hopefully this story time will inspire somebody and who's going through a hard time, who's going through a dark place. I always think of the time when I spent 4 years in depression. And it was crazy because at the time I was a homeschooling mama, and all of my, not all, but a lot of my homeschooling mamas that I was close to at the time were going through the same exact dark spot. Like, we couldn't help each other. We couldn't really support each other because we were all in a place of darkness. But anyway, that's not when I attempted suicide. So I'm going to tell you my story, and I hope it inspires you. And it also, I'm going to bring it back to the point of, don't get attached to anything that is not attached to you. Okay, so in college, I had a boyfriend. And due to his notoriety and level of influence, I'm going to be a little vague. But anyway, I had a boyfriend, and I was very attached to him. And I was attached to him, and this is also, I hope some young people hear this. I was attached to him to the point and level of my personal detriment. So I was one of those people, when I had a boyfriend, I was 100% all in, right? I would neglect myself to the point of being there for that man. Now, first thing I'm going to tell you, for any of you ladies who are watching this that are not married, do not treat a boyfriend like a husband. And let me say it real loud and clear for the people in the back. Do not ever treat a boyfriend like a husband. They are two totally different things. With a husband, you have a contract. You have vows before God. You are working toward a distinct goal together. And I'm not saying if you're married you should ever lose yourself, because that's important that you don't do that ever. Don't make that mistake either. But what I'm saying is there are levels to this. There are levels of going all in. And a boyfriend is not a husband. Okay? But anyway, I had this boyfriend, and I was all in with this boyfriend. I was all in. In fact, instead of doing my work and my studies, this particular individual was working on getting his degree to be a large animal vet. And at first it started off, he would ask me to do a few chores to help him on the farm. Because I went to college in North Carolina. And there was a huge agricultural farm. And so I would do some chores, and I learned all about chickens. There was a facility where they housed thousands and thousands and thousands of chickens, and I learned all about the chickens, and I would collect the eggs and learned about their body temps, and to see if they were carrying diseases and all these other things. This is not what my degree was in, by the way. I was an English major, history minor, okay? My time and effort that I spent with him was not being devoted toward what I was getting a degree in. Okay, and then we moved on to the swine unit, and I lived on the swine unit. And you know what? I can't even be mad, because I learned so much, and I had so many experiences, and I learned how to shoot and hunt and use a bow and arrow, and we'd play games. It was a very isolated situation on the swine unit. And the smell, you could smell 5 miles away. So as you can imagine, a lot of people didn't come and visit. And you stunk. It was like in your pores. It was inside your body. You would sweat out swine. And, oh boy, the smell of swine. And here I am weighing swine, and we play games at night, turn off all the lights, and chase each other around with cattle prods and knock each other out, because if you country and you know anything about a cattle prod, it can disable a hog, which means think about what it can do to a person. But anyway, so I am all involved in this man and in his family, and in making sure that he's the best scholar that he can be. And so we're very close, and after the swine unit, then we moved out and got our own place. And now we've set up a household. Now we're playing house. And I get a job to help pay for the place. Mind you, my mama and daddy was paying for there was no FAFSA money. My mama and daddy was paying for my degree. My mama and daddy expected me to be on campus in my dorm that they were paying for. Meanwhile, I'm set up over here with this man playing house. Okay, so I'm trying to paint a picture and saying that he was my world. So I get this job, and he would come every evening, and he would help me close. So I was, at this particular time, his family owned several restaurants, In fact, I think in their town they owned every establishment. Um, and at first I worked there, but then at this particular time, I was working at a gas station. And this was back in the day. This was back in the day where you did everything by hand. You had to climb up on a ladder 100 times a day and change the gas prices, change the numbers as the gas prices changed. Because I don't know if y'all know or not, but gas prices change every 5 minutes. You had to climb up on a ladder and change those because this was before they had digital signs announcing the gas prices where you just, on a computer or whatever, type in a new gas price. So I had to do that. I had to put the gas in the tanks. Child, there wasn't like the Walmart man who came by with gas and pumped it into the, put it in the tank. I had to do, Tish was the Walmart man. And so I was the assistant manager. And I had to do, night counts and all this other stuff. So I've told this story once before, I think. And so my manager was a woman named Christy. I can say her name. This was like 25 years ago. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. And so she and I were very, very close. We were very, very close. And she was a genius. She was one of those people. Have you ever met someone who doesn't have really any education at all? Didn't finish high school, but is super smart, like super smart. Like you just feel for them because if they had had the opportunity and their life had gone differently and they had had the education, they would be like a rocket scientist or something like that. She was like that. She was a math whiz. She was so smart and so efficient. She was amazing. But anyway, her home life was really bad, and she was young, but she looked old. She was young, but she looked old. And she was missing teeth because her husband beat her, knocked her teeth out. He was very violent. He was a Klan member. Remember, this is like 25 years ago in North Carolina. And she had several young children, and she couldn't leave them due to the threat of violence, due to family ties, due to having young children. There was a bunch of reasons why she felt like she was trapped and she couldn't leave him. But she was very sad and very miserable, and he was a Klan member, and, she had been raised and taught to think a certain way about black people. And I was the first black person that she had really had extended contact with, and she said, Tish, I just love you, and I really feel now I see that the teachings, that we've been taught, growing her family being Klan as well, and her growing up Klan, she said, I really feel like they're wrong and they're not correct. And so when we had time, we would hang out. When she was available, we would hang out after work. Of course, that was very limited because he was very possessive over her time and where she was and who she was with and all of that. But, we would try and hang out together, and we had the best times together. And so we were very close, and I considered her to be my best friend at the time. And so I'm living with my boyfriend, and, so this is my life. And so I was the closer as the assistant manager. She would start closing with me, and, we count up all the money, and there was all these procedures that you had to do. And, of course, this was all had to be hand done. Nothing was on computer. It wasn't digital, so it was a lot more work intensive. And so anyway, I would close, and I closed at like, I want to say 2:30. And so how it would work is I would do the money drop, and the money drop was inside the building, and then I would do something else, and then I would do a shutdown. And So there was an alarm company that was in charge of the, the of the building of the gas station. It was a large gas station, and um, the alarm was set and scheduled to activate at a certain time, which I think was like 2:30. And so the alarm would set, and then you had like 30 seconds to get out. Now the alarm would set automatically. You didn't set the alarm. So in other words, you just had to exit the building and lock the doors by 2:30 because the alarm was going to come on. And if you weren't out of there, then the police were going to come, and there was going to be, it was like, that was like, you couldn't do it. Okay, so you had to be out of the building. So what would happen every night at 2:30, and this gas station was in a rural area. So it's in a rural area. It's in an area that you don't want to, as a black person, be caught in at night outside, right? So what would happen every night is my boyfriend, we had one car, and so my boyfriend would have the car because I'd be at work, right? And he'd have the car in the evening, and then he would come pick me up every night at 2:30. Okay, so on this particular night, I did my thing, locked up the gas station, and exited the building, and I'm standing outside. So imagine you're outside, but there's not really anything around you. It's just kind of country. At 2:30 in the morning. So anybody who's cruising outside at 2:30 in the morning is probably up to no good. And anybody who's walking around at 2:30 in the morning is probably going to be the victim of no good. So I lock up and I come outside, and it's kind of weird because often he would come, and he would come inside, and he would help me mop the floor and clean up and do all the things that I needed to do prior, to closing up the gas station. He would come help me every evening. So he didn't come help me that evening, and I thought, well, he must be busy doing something or whatever. And so I don't think there were cell phones at this time. I'm trying to think when this was. I don't think there were cell phones. Or if there were, not a lot of people had them. But, I mean, this wasn't really like cell phones. And so, anyway, I close up, I come outside, he's not there, and I'm like, oh, he's just running a few minutes late. He'll be here, he'll be here, he'll be here. And so I'm waiting. It's 2:30 in the morning. Now it's 2:45. Now it's 3 a.m. And I'm full on panic because I'm thinking if somebody pulls up or drives up or something, where am I going to go? I can't go back in the building. Where am I going to go? There's nowhere for me to hide. There's nowhere for me to run to. I'm really concerned at this point about my safety and being killed. And I don't know what happened. Maybe there were cell phones because I don't know what happened, but I do believe that I got a cab home. I do believe. I can't even remember because it was such a traumatic night and experience, and I don't know where he is. And he was a very prompt, punctual, very methodical person. So this is completely not like him. Then I'm thinking maybe he's been in a car accident, maybe he's dead on the street somewhere. So anyway, I get home, he's not there. And then I realized the next day his stuff isn't there. And now I'm hysterical. So I'm calling all of our mutual friends. I'm calling his parents. I'm calling, nobody's seen him. Nobody knows where he is. His parents aren't answering. None of our mutual friends know where he is. He's disappeared. And I think I don't remember if I went to his parents' house or not. I can't remember. But anyway, our place was, we're both working to pay the rent. So the rent was about due, and I only have my portion. I don't have his portion. I wasn't anticipating needing his portion. And, I had spent my money other ways, allocated in other ways. And I don't know what I'm going to do. And at this point, because we were like this, we did everything together. We went everywhere together. Um, I was catatonic, but hysteric at the same time, if that makes sense. Filled with hysteria at the same time. Um, and so days pass. And, I see my good friend at work. I guess I'm taking a cab back and forth to work or getting a ride. I don't remember. But I see my good friend at work and I tell her and she's holding me and comforting me. And I'm just distraught. I'm distraught to the point where there's no comforting me. And so then I get an eviction notice. And I think that was like the final straw. Here, if he had just left a note, and maybe I could have handled him saying, this has come up, this has happened, whatever. I'm so sorry, but I'm leaving. Okay, well now I know at least that you're gone, your intent was to leave. This was like a body snatcher event. He's just gone, nobody knows where he was. Nobody's heard from him, nothing. And so now I get the eviction notice, and now my whole life, which I was so sure of, which was so solid and regulated and regimented just a couple days ago, is now in complete upheaval and turmoil. And it was just more than I could take. And so one evening, I think this was the night before I was going to be evicted. I went into the bathroom and had a belt, big, strong belt, leather belt, and was in the process of hanging myself. When there was a knock on the door. Bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, I just need a few minutes of peace and silence and privacy so that I can finish hanging myself and take myself out of this situation, out of this pain, away from this pain. Just need a minute, just give me a minute. Bang, bang, bang at the front door. I'm like, just go away. Just go away, I'm thinking, right? And here I am trying to quickly finish the job. Bang, 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 bang. Tish, Tish. Bang, 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 bang. And so I stopped. And I went and answered the door, and it's my friend Christy, my manager, who I work with. And she's looking at me, and she's looking at my face, and she's like, girl, she said, something told me to rush over here. And she lived far away from where I was. She said, something told me to rush over here. And she said, and when you didn't answer the door, she said, I knew I had to get to you. Let me tell y'all something. She saved my life. She saved my life. She said, I'm going to take you out. Remember, this is 25 years ago. No, this isn't 25 years ago. I'm so sorry. I'm incorrect. I've been a parent for 26 years. So this was 28 years ago, at least. 28 years ago, at least. So she says, I'm going to take you out. We're going to get drunk. I'm going to take you to get a tattoo. She's country, y'all. And we're going to talk until it's okay. I will never forget her because she saved my life, literally. And I will never forget, this is before I knew God and I worshiped God and I got saved, knew the Lord. But I believe with everything in me that the Lord sent her the Lord literally put a conviction so strong on her that she had to leave her home and come speeding to mine and save my life. At just the timing, just that, like if she had been 2 minutes later, she saved my life. I know the Lord saved my life, but the Lord used her to save my life. And so that's what we did. She took me to a real redneck bar. I'll never forget that experience. But it was all good, and man, I can still see her face. I don't know what happened to her, but she is so precious and so important to me. And then she took me, this is a funny story, she took me to a Klan tattoo artist. So he did all the Klan's tattoos. And he was the biggest man I think I've ever seen. He was like 6'7", 450 pounds, ZZ Top, beard, mustache, the whole nine. No shirt, overalls, just the whole look. He had the whole look. And I got a tattoo. And she was like, see, you're a new woman. I'm not advocating tattoos. I'm not on here to advocate tattoos. I'm just telling you what happened with me, my personal situation. And she just stayed with me. She stayed with me until I was okay. She stayed with me until I was okay. But I tell you all this very personal story to tell you that don't get attached to anything that's not attached to you. My boyfriend, who I had been with for 4 years, being able to leave me, and it turned out, his family wanted him to marry, he was a certain ethnicity, and his family wanted him to marry somebody in that ethnicity, and they felt that we were way too close, and they were losing him. And he ultimately chose them over me. But his ability to leave me, not bother to leave a letter, choose his family over me as a grown man, he was not attached to me, but I was attached to him. Be careful of who you have attachments to. Okay, that's number one. Number two, please understand that a lot of people come into your life for a season, for a reason and for a season, and they are not meant to be there forever. See, a lot of problems that a lot of us have are we don't understand that even though you may see yourself as, I'm going to be best friends with this person until we die, we're always going to be together, everything's always going to be great, what you have to understand is the only constant in life is change. The only constant in life is change. The only thing you should prepare yourself for in life is for life to change. Situations to change, circumstances to change, feelings to change. We may go to war. We may, there may be a recession. What you need to realize is there's going to be change, and that includes the people in your life. So sometimes people are in your life for a reason and for a season, for you to get something out of them, for them to get something out of you, and you all were not meant to be together for forever, and that's okay. That's okay, and you have to realize and recognize that. And sometimes we can hold on to people and hold on to attachments that have stopped benefiting us and it's to now our detriment, and they are holding us back, or they are keeping us from going to the next level that we're meant to go to. We were meant to get a lesson from that person, and then we were meant to let that person go and move on and level up. I know it might sound cruel, it might sound cold, but this is very true. A lot of women die because they hold on to attachments, men, that they should have let go of a lot of times, a long time ago. Have you ever had somebody that you were very attached to? Here's my second and last story time. Had a friend who was very different than me, And as a Christian, feeling like we are to love everyone, right? Whether they're like us or not. And I felt she was a very kind, very empathetic, very sensitive person. And so I had an attachment to her. My children had one of my children had an attachment to her child. Well, two of my children had attachments to her children. Anyway, how do I want to put this? This sensitive, kind, loving person who I consider to be a dear friend. Those same lips. Let me move this phone because it's about to get too hot. Those same lips that would say kind things to me and friendly things to me and loving things to me. Those same lips. Let me tell you something. There came a time when I realized that the connection that we had to one another was no longer one that the Lord wanted me to have. And in retaliation, those same kind, loving lips turned around and started poisoning one of my children against me. Let me tell you something that you may not have experienced this yet because you have young children or whatever. But I can tell you that never in a million years would I have thought that one of my children would allow someone outside of our household to twist, turn, and influence one of my children. I'm not going to go into that, but I'll say twist, turn, and influence one of my children. I mean, because you always think as a mother, and let me tell you, I was a darn good mother. I am a darn good mother, I should say. I am not, I think of my adult children, I think I'm not parenting them, but I still am, in a sense. I stayed at home. I gave up everything in life for this particular child. Everything in life. All of my hopes, all of my dreams, all of my personal desires, wants, everything. Everything was for this child. So that she could have everything, the best of everything. Bled for this child. And would I ever in a million years have thought that someone could step in from the outside and influence this child against me? This person who's supposedly my dear and close friend. Never would have thought it, and I hope you don't live long enough to ever have that happen to you. But let me tell you, I've met a lot of parents who have. And there comes a point where you have to say, if your child is an adult, sound mind, which could be debated, but you have to be able to say, I cannot be attached to anything that does not want to be attached to me. And it's horrible, and it's painful, and it's hurtful, and it's betrayal, and everything else. But you know what? When you have horrible, hurtful, painful things happen to you, you have to remember that maybe at some point that connection can be healed and I don't know, become healthy again. But B, you also have to remember it is a reminder that nothing and no one is guaranteed to be in your life forever. Nothing and no one is guaranteed to be in your life forever. And that includes your children, the children that you birthed. This a child, homeschooled, the child, just everything. Everything that I gave up. Everything. For somebody outside to come and try and tear down and destroy. You have to understand that you can have relationships and attachments to people who are secretly jealous of you. They will keep you in their sphere of influence because they're jealous of you and they want to be close to you, but they don't want to see you. You know, sometimes it comes a time where their jealousy just can't be contained anymore. That you have all of this and they don't have that, this or that, and you're happy and you have a close-knit family and they don't have that, or you know, there's all kinds of things. People operate the way they do out of all kinds of things, and the thing is, you can see somebody but you don't know what's in their heart. The Bible tells us that. You don't know what lies in the heart of man. The heart is most deceitful. You don't know what's in somebody's heart. You don't know what their personal misery will make them do to you because you're not wallowing in misery. Because you have joy. Because you're happy. Because you're loving. Because you're not malicious. Because you're not deceitful. That literally grates at some people. And they can't take it. They want to participate in your downfall. And that's a real thing. I'm not trying to be like Dynasty, you know, or Dallas jealous, you know, not jealous, but dramatic. But jealousy is a real thing. There are lots of people that you consider to be friends that are jealous behind your back, secretly jealous of you because maybe you have money, or maybe you have a husband, or maybe because you have these great kids, or maybe because you're happy, or maybe because no matter what happens, you determine that you're not going to give up and throw in the towel. It happens. Happened to my mother. Happened to my mother. It happens. It happens. So this person turned my child against me. But you have to realize, whether it's your children, it's going to sound bad, but it's true, I promise you. Whether it's your children, whether it's friendships, whether it's business partners, if somebody is not connected to you, don't be connected to them. Do not be connected to them. You don't want that, because it's going to they're going to introduce their hurt or their jealousy or their insufficiency or whatever they're going through or whatever they're feeling or whatever anger they have about whatever into your life. They have not learned that things can be temporary. They have not learned people and things can be for a season. They have not learned when you are connected to someone and that person is special, you want to keep that connection. You want to keep that connection. You want to foster that connection. You need to learn that if someone is keeping you down, holding you back, or someone is not loving you the way you love yourself, not cheering for you the way that you cheer for yourself, that you need to let go of that person, regardless of who that person is. That doesn't mean you hate the person. That doesn't mean you're nasty to the person. That doesn't even necessarily mean that that person can't come back into your life at a different season. But if that relationship is not serving you, then you have to let it go. You have to learn how to live your own life. And I used to think, when I was a parent of younger children, I used to think, gosh, that is so horrible how that mother lives in a different state than her children. Or that mother lives in a different town than her children. What kind of mother is she? And then I got older and I realized that you can do the most for your children. When I say hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that I spent on my children, took them everywhere, loved on them, was a helicopter mom, was there 24/7 for my children from the day they were born, homeschooled them, vacations, opportunities, sacrificed for them, thousands of hours in hospitals, taking them to doctors, the ones that needed to be hospitalized, and see specialists all the time, all of that, losing sleep, everything that I did, like the ultimate mother, that one day they will weep and cry when I am dead, because they will realize, as more mature adults, everything that I did for them, how they were my life. But the thing is, I understand now how parents can say, you know what? We have to live our own life. We have to, at some point, we have to live our own lives. Your children are out there living their own lives. They're not sitting around thinking about you. You have to live your own life. You have to live your own life, and that's not a malicious statement at all in any way. I love my kids. I will love my kids till the day I die. But I also realize that you're not always appreciated in certain seasons. I didn't appreciate my mom when I was in my 20s and I was out acting a fool and acting crazy and doing God knows what and all kinds of things. And my poor mother is sitting at home literally so concerned and worried about me that she's vomiting. I wasn't worried about her. I was not worried about her one bit at all. When I became a parent, as every year that my children got older, I appreciated my mother more and more. So much I appreciated my mother. But the thing is, in my early 20s, I didn't. It's not unusual. I did not see her value to the extent that I should have, So it is what it is. But what my mom had to do, and I was so hurt. I was so used to my mom obsessing over me all the time. When my mom came to the understanding and realization, I'm over here worrying, obsessing, and loving my daughter, and my daughter is out there in the streets acting a fool and not even thinking twice about me. My mother decided that she was going to have a life. And I was so hurt. Like, what do you mean you're doing things and going places and having experiences and you're not sitting at home, like, obsessed over me, right? That's how I felt as a young person. But now it's oh so clear to me as a 51-year-old mom. Yeah, I have to go out there and live my life and do things that make me happy and that take me to my next level. Now I'm here, you can always call. I love you. You can always come visit. But y'all are out there doing your own thing. And I need to be doing my own thing as well, which I am. And of course, I still have 2 children. at home, soon to be one, only, that I'm actively parenting. But the point I'm trying to make here is, with telling you the story of my boyfriend and, situations with my children, you have to come to realize, and it's just like if you have a business partner, and and in the beginning your goals and dreams aligned, and then over time you wanted to take it to the next level, the business partner wanted to keep it down here. At some point, you probably are going to have to dissolve the business, because don't want anything that does not want you. And that's really important. That's how we keep ourselves from heartache, heartbreak, betrayal, lost time, and things of that nature. You have to realize, if it doesn't want you, you shouldn't be chasing it. You should not want it either. And that's not saying you shouldn't want it in a malicious manner or a hateful manner or anything like that. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is, be careful of what you chase. Be careful of what you open your heart to. Because there can be consequences that are long-term, and very painful, and that can set you back from the course that you're trying to go on, which, as we all know, is to be successful. And whatever success looks like for you in this season. Whether it's success in your marriage you're focused on, success in your finances, paying off debts, and things of that nature, savings, increasing your savings, whether it's success, with your children, you've got young children that you're actively parenting, whether, whatever area of success that you are chasing in this season, be careful of what you attach yourself to. That's all I'm trying to say. And I guess that's pretty much it. Be careful of what you attach yourself to. Be very, very careful. How many thousands of women have attached themselves to a man who led to their death? And I think I shared this the other day. I saw a reel, and it was a man and a woman, and they were in love, and they were kissing, and this is at their wedding ceremony, and everybody's clapping and happy, and she's twirling around, and her new spouse is holding on to her and kissing her, and the words on the video said, something like, little did she know in 4 years he would take her life. She attached herself in a major way to someone who was not attached to her. That was not attached to her in the same manner that she was attached to him. She loved him. She meant good for him. He did not mean good for her. We have to, because something can be detrimental unto death that you are not willing to let go of, or realize that that is not the attachment. This is not the season for that particular attachment. So, don't be willing to hold on to anything that isn't willing to hold on to you. That's the best way I can put it. It really is the best way I can put it. Constantly and always assess and reassess your relationships to make sure that they are serving you. And that may sound real selfish. But if it does, then you probably aren't that successful. Because you do need to assess. I've had people assess me at times and say to me, Tish, you know what? You're not being the friend that I thought you were going to be, or that you need to be for me. And I had to accept that. And because I'm autistic, I have a really hard time being the type of friend that a lot of people want or need. I need a lot of personal space. I just do. And it's hard for me not to have that, and I haven't had that for 26 years because I have children, 5 children. And I've learned how, of course, to let them completely into my space and use my time. but I don't have a lot left over outside of my children and my husband. I just don't have a lot left over for other people. And so, no, I'm not going to look like your traditional really good friend. And if that's what you need, then yeah, I'm not the person for you. I can love on you. I can talk to you when I see you, or talk to you every once and, every so often. But it's just hard for me to, for whatever reason, it's just hard for me to have people all up in my space and I have so many things and so many goals and so much going on that it's hard for me just to sit down and just talk about whatever. It really is. I want to talk about my goals, my dreams, what I'm doing, elevate, like, it's just all elevation. So it's real hard for me to just sit down and talk about nothing. It is. So I have a hard time. I'm really good with, I run into you and, I have, super energized conversations short term. But keeping that up, like, multiple times during the week and stuff, I can't do that. I can love on you real hard. That's why I think the Lord brings me strangers all the time that I mentor. I can mentor you, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful, and that's for a season, and then, I got to move on. And I just really think that's funny. It's why I believe that the Lord brings me complete strangers that I'm able to help and and get them to where they're stable, and then, release them back out into the world, healed. But yeah. Anyway, so that's a little tangent. But what I was trying to say is, I think you guys got the point. You need to be able to evaluate your relationships, your friendships, your business partners, and things of that nature continuously. It's just like you should be evaluating your life insurance, at least annually, or your car insurance annually, and seeing if there's, if it's beneficial to you. There should be nothing for, and that includes, I'm not just talking about people. I am talking about, you need to evaluate everything in your life every 3 months. It needs to go through a diagnostic process, and you need to see if it is working for you. And if it isn't, you need to reevaluate. Sometimes you just need to have a talk with somebody. Sometimes it's more drastic than that, and that person has, their season in your life has expired. And you need to move on. You need to move on. They are not benefiting you, and if they're not benefiting you, at some point in the near future, they're going to be a detriment to you. So I hope that this made sense. I hope it did. You may not be in a place where you can hear this right now, and that's okay. I trust that you will grow, and at some point, you will be, because we all evolve, right? People used to talk to me. I missed out on so many opportunities in life because people, important, powerful people, wanted to mentor me. And I wasn't ready. I wasn't in that space. Like, I was not in that space to be mentored or to hear what they had to tell me. And I'd be like, oh, you're crazy, or oh, that's really cruel, or that's, whatever, because I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? So I'm not trying to be insulting. What I'm saying is, because I've been there too, sometimes somebody can say something to you that's real, that's true, but you're not yet in that place, in that space to receive it, or you're not teachable yet, right? You might just not be teachable yet. For 20 years straight, I've been a parent for 26 years, but for 20 years of that time period, for the most part, I was not in a space where I could hear and receive and take a hold of opportunities, certain opportunities that were afforded to me, or that I had a chance to. And I'm so sorry that I didn't, but at the same time, it's like sorry, not sorry, because all of my efforts, every waking moment was focused on my children. And I'm thankful for that. Whether my kids ever realize what kind of mom they had, how their mom went 110% day and night for them, every single day, day in, day out, I've been 10 toes down. Whether they ever realize that or not, it doesn't matter, because that's what I was called to do, and I did it, and I did it unto the Lord, you know. So, but maybe one day they'll be in a place where they're like, oh my gosh, the enormity of what mom did for us is just like blowing our minds. You know, maybe one day they'll realize. Maybe one day they won't. You know, it is what it is. I did what I needed to do, but during that time when I was doing what I needed to do day and night, 24/7, all, you know, all in, I missed a lot of other things and a lot of opportunities that I would have liked to have pursued, or sometimes I just wasn't in the right mindset to like hear it and understand it and take advantage of it. You know, what was told to me and advice that was given to me. There was excellent advice, but I wasn't in a place to receive it. So that may be you. You may be listening to this and you may be like, she's crazy. She's crazy, or she's really mean, or oh, that doesn't sound Christian, or whatever. That may be the place you're in. And if that is, that's fine. Just take what you heard, you know, tuck it under your cap and keep on going. And one day, this will probably click with you. But anyway, that's all I have for now. This is a lot longer than I meant for it to be. And I guess I'll see y'all later. Bye.